Denver, how are you? I hope you're having a great day. I know I am. Why? Because RealGoodDenver.com is celebrating our 100th episode. Way to go, guys.
Episode 100.
The episode 100 Bonanza, a true
Uh,
milestone.
Look at
Who could
that.
have believed 2 years ago that when we set off on this mission, that we'd be hitting episode 100? Unbelievable.
Absolutely
I want to
insane.
see I want to see a statistic like on the rate of podcasts that make it to episode 100. Like that and compared to the amount of or the amount of podcasts that are created on an annual basis, what rate make it to 100? Be curious to see that.
True, yeah. And you know what? It's it's got to be low because there's a lot of turnover and inactive podcasts out there, and I've seen a bunch of them, but I guarantee you not a lot get to 100.
We're in the 1%, guys.
At the very most, it's probably a tenth of a percent. I mean,
Mhm.
it's not easy, putting a podcast out there and being consistent with it. It's not easy, except with you guys. You guys make it just a joy. I mean, the 100th episode has a little bit of weight for me too, because it's one of the gospels I espouse is just getting people to do it. Just get out there and just give it a shot. Don't judge the podcast until the 100th episode. And
Mhm.
now here we are. So I guess we're forced to bear witness and put some judgment on it. So what do you guys think we've done? Let's start with really well. What have we done really well with the podcast?
I mean, staying up on the events is one thing, and always trying to keep the events new and feeling fresh and not just always yoga variants is tough. People don't understand how hard that is. Um, but, I think other than that, Troy has slayed it on our social aspect. Like, TikTok and Instagram always have the sickest clips. And then you, Ryan, on the newsletter. Like, those two things alone have given us so many opportunities with the podcast and gotten us to a point that, like, we're actually starting to get, like, serious sponsor inquiries and offers. And we're getting tickets to give away to people. And we're getting opportunities to judge things and go out, and it's just wouldn't be possible because the podcast is one thing, but the social and newsletter are a whole new world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say also another thing that's come a long way is just our individual segments have really grown into their own kind of thing.
Yeah.
Um, I feel like we have a really solid structure down that feels good each and every week.
Yeah, I think the greatest benefit of the newsletter too has been that like it felt rushed when we were starting. It's like, okay, we got to do events and we got to get news and we got to do this. And so it was like trying to push through. Now we can just kind of like wing it and just kind of like enjoy the conversation and know that like, hey, we got all that stuff is coming.
Hmm.
So that's been really cool. It's funny too, because I remember when we started, it was like I had bought the camera and like the microphone, and I was like, I got to make content, but I was having such a hard time like putting it together, something because
Mm.
it's like, oh, what am I gonna do? And it's like, I don't know what that is, but let's do a podcast. You guys do a podcast, and you're like, sure, let's do it. Shout
Yeah.
out to Olivia too. We should bring her back for an episode.
Hmm.
But then, this has really kind of taken on a life of its own, and one thing I think that we've gotten really right is the content, which is kind of, let's just call it PG content, sometimes PG-13,
Hmm.
straight down the middle, just a celebration and love for the city and the culture of Denver, Colorado, without like too much extraneous controversies or politics, you know. That stuff can, I think, oftentimes, I don't know, I think just like get in the way. People will kind of start to polarize into their like ideological corner as opposed to like what a good podcast is, which is like, sure, there's always something that could be better, but what's going on that's cool? And I think that we've done a great job kind of fostering that energy. And I only say it, we've done a good job because we've kind of put out this beacon light, and the people that come to us are so interesting. For example, Ryan, the Birdman, who's going to be on the show a little bit later. We have all these people that are doing cool things, and I think when I'm at my best and I'm encouraging that kind of energy into the universe, then you get that ripple back. It's like, oh, just doing something for fun and just to do something cool. Well, then that's what comes back to you.
Hmm.
Totally agree.
Without a doubt. And you know what? To celebrate our 100th episode, I've prepared a little, recap segment slash real good Denver, what's good Denver trivia that I may be so inclined to have you guys participate in if you'd like.
Oh, I like it.
Yeah, I'm love trivia.
Okay. Well, these are just simple questions. There's no standard format or anything here. I'm gonna rip through a few things, and I also have a couple listed here. We'll see what we get. But let's just start with this. What recent event? We're talking summertime, August. Like this is a recent event. We may have even talked about it recently. What recent event was included as the featured title event of our very first What's Good Denver episode on August 8th, 2023?
It's
August 8th.
a reoccurring event.
Yes, it's an event that we've talked about multiple times.
It wasn't the event you went to this weekend.
It may or may not be. I'm not gonna give away any clues here.
Oof, man, that's tough.
Was it Brunch Fest?
We've talked about the Denver Brunch Fest on episode number 1.
No
Wow.
kidding.
That's
Full
crazy.
circle.
Yep, the title of episode 1 from August 8th, 2023, Monster Battles, Brunch Fests, and Community Fridges.
Wow, that's crazy.
We-
So,
So cool.
and here you are 2 years later. You were at the festival this
Judging
weekend.
the festival. We're
Yeah.
going to talk about it in just a little bit, maybe right after this segment, but I just thought that was crazy.
Yeah, that is crazy, man. It was so fun too. Let's make sure we get the trivia because I definitely want to talk about Brunch Fest.
Yeah, okay, I have another quick one here, and this one's actually just for Troy.
Okay.
So, during our first remote episode, our remote recording,
Mm-hmm.
what recipe did Ryan share on August 24th, 2023?
Recipe. Okay. I feel like I know this. It's either it's gotta be something. I want to say something Thanksgiving related. Um,
It's a seasonal opportunity. He specifically gave tips towards crafting the best what?
I can't remember. I feel like he shared cranberry recipes on this show. He shared cranberry recipes. You've shared maybe a cocktail recipe.
Sounds appropriate.
Ryan, I think you might remember what it was. We recorded in the podcast movement hallway. What was it?
Pork green chili.
Yep, the
I was
green
gonna
chili
s-
recipes and specifically the Hatch green chili tips and where to get them, all of that.
Well, it was actually I was no disrespect here, state of New Mexico, but I was smashing Hatch green chilies in favor of the Mirasol chilies
The
from
Mirasol.
Pueblo, Colorado.
Yes, that's it.
Yeah. And that's it's on the tip of my tongue largely because I just went to Lulu's Farms on Friday or Sunday and got a whole bushel of Mirasol chilies and I had my first batch and it is absolute fire. It's so good.
I was gonna say chili, and I was actually thinking green chili, but 2 years is a long time to recall something like that.
Okay, I think I got two more quick ones here. Now, I'm just trying to figure out how to phrase this one for you guys, but just try to think back. Now, our number one listened episode, downloads and listeners total, had 4,443 plays. Which episode in October 2023 do you think that was? Now, on October 3rd, 2023, we had Denver's best sushi spots, spooky season hangs, and bad PR that's good. On October 5th, we had a special feature with the Denver Community Media where Olivia and I went out and recorded an interview with the DCM team. October 10th, Denver's best workouts, why we're the EDM hub, and nude beach hot takes. And then I'll just limit it to 4 here. Our fall fashion plugs, the Denver Boulder beef, and one pop-up we don't recommend. Which of those 4 episodes is our number 1 most listened episode?
It's either going to be the sushi one or the nude beach one, I would think.
I'm thinking it might be that the mobile one you did. Maybe we got an extra boost on that episode because they shared it. I'm not sure.
We did get a good amount of listens on the mobile one. That had over 1,000 listens. But the number 1 listened episode was Denver's best sushi spots, spooky season hangouts, and bad PR that's good.
We got to cover more sushi.
Yeah, exactly.
Seriously.
We don't cover enough sushi.
The sushi
very good
stuff
point.
was awesome.
Yeah. Okay. We got to get back to that.
Nice.
And then I'm gonna pick a random episode and see if you guys can decide when about we may have ran it. So this is the last one. Let's go with this one. Stock shows, cooking classes, and yoga events we really, really want to go to. When do you think we could just give a date range? What month in 2023 do you think that we talked about the stock show, cooking classes, and yoga events that we actually wanted to go to?
I mean, it's got to be January, right?
That's exactly right. And bonus points if you can guess which Kickcaster employee was our special guest on that episode.
Was it Riley?
That's right. I mean, dang, Ryan's killing
Wow.
the real good Denver history trivia here.
Yeah. I just would have not. No. Yeah, there was no way I was going to get that.
Those are the only questions I had prepared for us, but there's so many good memories just looking through our episode list here, and just so much good stuff
man.
we've talked about.
So fun. How about what have we done poorly? Like, where do the real good Denver haters get it right?
You know, one thing I think we can do is get a little bit deeper on some interview episodes. Like, I know there's a lot of people out there who Denver would like to hear from. Specifically, one that I'm targeting is the man himself, Frank Azar.
Yes.
If we're doing Frank, you know, there's no time for events. It's going to have to be special. We're going to do more special feature episodes, I think, that include interviews with prominent Denver figures. And we'll do full hour or, 45-minute interview, and we'll post those separately from our weekly event recaps.
Yeah, I agree. I would love that too. I posted one with Melissa from New Zealand. What was her Activo.ai? Posted that yesterday.
Nice.
And those I think are like, there's so many opportunities to take the deeper dive one-on-ones, or like just the like kind of more investigative kind of type interviews.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a great idea. We should definitely do that. Now, I do want to follow that with a compliment for Tom, because Tom does a fantastic job. We're not going to the haters right now. Tom does a great show orchestrating the live aspect of this podcast, which I think also really differentiates it, that we stream it live on YouTube. It adds like an air of like spontaneity and excitement, especially when we have guests on, because they get to come on. It's like, it feels like a love line when you take a call or something,
Yeah.
you get to bring people in. It would be cool to do something like that. Maybe take calls from other folks. I mean, I guess that's what we do anyway.
Yeah.
That would be fun. Have random callers in live on the show.
Yeah, we'll just have to throw a delay on in case anyone tries to get crazy. But I like it. It also holds us accountable, and it watches our backs, because we've been accused of fudging giveaways. And if you sign into our YouTube, you can watch that wheel of names spin, okay? So people out there who think we're not giving away the giveaways, trust me, we are. And we had some great Brunch Fest attendees this past weekend who were super hyped to have won those tickets. So shout out to them.
Yeah, you know what? Let's dive into Brunch Fest. But bravo, guys, 100 episodes. That's great. I
Quite the
love it,
feat.
man. I
Quite.
think this quarter especially, there like some really cool things are coming down the pipe.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you know what? For the Brunch Fest, just so everyone knows before we start, I'm going to put links to our top 3 that we're about to discuss into the show notes. So don't feel like you need to rush around and write things down. We're going to share this in the show notes. But
Nice.
we were honored with the call to judge the Best Bite category, which this Brunch Fest was absolutely full of food. And some other categories were Best Sweet Treat, I think Best Beverage, and I'm glad that we were honored with the Best Bite category because we needed to skip some of the sweet treats to even get through this. I mean, there was so much stuff there.
What's Best Bite? What does that mean?
The way we interpreted it was, I mean, obviously your best, bite of anything. Best single bite of something was what we were kind of thinking about, but also just kind of best food item is how we were looking at it.
Okay.
And there was so much stuff. One thing that we really took into account was like, is it unique? Because there's a ton of people out there throwing chicken and waffles down. There's a ton of like breakfast sandwiches, English muffins, all that stuff. But the people who we ended up choosing really stood out, I think. And
people were doing some really different things. And I tell you what, man, super fun event. It also was a little bit different. It seemed like every single place, and there must have been 20 or 30 at least, had their own signature cocktails or juices.
mm-hmm.
So some alcoholic, some non-alcoholic, but that was really fun.
Yeah, awesome. I mean, this was more stands than we've seen at any of these other all-you-can-eat festivals, I think.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
It was hard to get through, to be honest. We were battling by the end, and Taylor and I really wanted to make sure we tried everything to make it fair. But it was not easy. It's not easy at all.
How many stands did you get through before you were like, whoa, like I'm getting really full. I don't know how much longer I can do this.
Probably halfway. I'd say maybe like 15 stands in. 15 or 20 stands in. Yeah.
That's a lot. That's a lot.
Yeah, the halfway mark, and it was a little bit chilly and overcast in the morning, but the sun broke through and it was hot. Now, I had worn a sweater because I was expecting it to be a little chilly. And I had the undershirt I had on, I knew had an old stain on it, so I couldn't take my sweater off. So I was like roasting
Oh man.
on
Yeah.
top of it.
Not
Oh my
good.
God.
And
But
one thing that really made me confident that we had some solid picks was that Taylor and I had split up from Ryan and Heidi, and when we came back together with our thoughts, we actually had the same top 3.
yeah,
Really?
Yeah, which was really promising, just to tell us
which
that we
I,
did
I
good.
think kind of happened at Ramen Fest too. I don't know. It's like the things that stand out, they really stand out. So, Tom, why don't you break down the top 3 and we can talk about some others too?
Yeah, so we'll start with third place and then we'll move up. So in third place we went with a huge surprise to us to even see them there, but Sushi Kuro, who was our number 1 pick for best fusion ramen at the ramen festival.
Whoa. They're cleaning up.
They
Cleaning up.
participated at the Brunch Fest as well. And what they submitted was a Kickin' Chicken Congee, which was kind of like a spicy chicken grits, so like a Japanese chicken on top of grits almost. I forget honestly what else was in that, but those guys were just really, really on top of it with everything that they put out at these festivals, and that's down by Zeppelin Station. And we were happy to hear that so the the smoked chicken pesto ramen that they came up with for the ramen festival, it was not originally on their menu, but we were talking about the brunch fest and it's now available at the restaurant. So we're going to be down there pretty soon to get it.
You're gonna have to do brunch too, because it was fire. And it was like served in a little cup with a spoon, which I thought was actually kind of nice because the one thing about these tasting festivals is very cumbersome. Like you have a
Mm-hmm.
drink in one hand and then you have a little bowl and then you have to grab a little sandwich or something. You're fumbling with the thing the whole time. So when it's a cup and you can just scoop it out, it was great and it was so good. And
Yeah.
nobody else did grits.
Yeah, absolutely. So shout out to them. It was just unique take and, Japanese inspiration, of course, as they always do. Second one, we were pleasantly surprised by this group because, they always put out solid stuff, but My Neighbor Felix is what took the second spot with us. And they served up these garnachas. Now, it's kind of hard to explain, but it's essentially like a thicker tortilla, and they leave it open faced, so it's like a bite-sized thing, and you kind of fold this like thick little garnacha tortilla up and you bite all the stuff that was in it. Ryan, I'm not sure if you remember what they had in there.
Oh my gosh, it was pork belly base. It had like I think like a bean sprout or something and cilantro and onions, but it was like citrusy and fresh and like it had everything going on. I mean, you could tell they really put a lot into it, which is interesting because my neighbor Felix, I think it's like kind of a national chain,
Yeah, they have
you
some
know,
chain some
and there was
chains.
there was a lot of national chains there, which was cool. But you could tell that like for the most part, the national chains were kind of phoning it in, with some big exceptions. And my neighbor Felix was one of them, where you can tell a lot of care and thought and consideration went into it, and the
Yeah,
flavor was just unbelievable.
that was amazing. I'd say that was probably one of the best singular bites. Like you could throw that whole thing down at once and it was solid.
Did each stand have multiple options, and you'd kind of pick like an item off the menu, or was it each stand was serving kind of like one dish, one thing only?
Some stands would have multiple. Like some stands would just have one thing. Sometimes they'll have like a food and a drink. Sometimes they'll just have a drink if they're more of an alcohol focused place. But then some stands will have like 3 food items, 2 drinks. Like you choose. It's all different. Depends on how
Wow.
much they want to bring out.
Wow. Cool.
But
Yeah, actually, let me correct myself. It looks like my neighbor Felix has 4 locations, and they're all in Colorado. So,
so it's a
I,
small
I,
chain.
yeah, it's a small chain, but I mean, I love that spot in Lohi. I've been there several times. It's a great spot for breakfast, and that garnacho was unbelievable.
Yeah, garnachas. I'm trying to just pull up an image of what a garnacha looks like for the viewers. Yeah, it's like a small, thick tortilla, and the whatever they had on it, it's basically like a mini taco chip
Yeah,
hybrid. But it
totally.
was soft. But wow, it was really good for my neighbor Felix.
I mean, is it a nacho or is it a tostada or is it an open faced burrito miniature? I'm
All
not
of the
sure.
above. I think it's
A hybrid of all of them.
yeah. Seriously, it's all of those things. And then coming in our number one spot, we all agreed it was between my neighbor Felix and this one, but more of us chose the Soul Mexican Cocina with their chili verde eggs and jalapeno cornbread.
Wow.
It was just, I don't know, Ryan, if you want to say something about it, but it was the best boat of food that I think we all had for the day.
Might have been, I think it was the first place we went to too, which also happened at Ramen Fest.
Yeah.
But there was some really creative dishes all over the place. So, to get the top spot from both of us when it's literally green chili, eggs, and cornbread, it really had to be like top notch, and it was unbelievable.
Yeah.
It was the green chili was slapped. The pork was like cubed and like very tender. I mean, the cornbread was sweet. It was just like it was perfect. It was absolutely perfect.
Yeah, it
That's
was crazy
amazing.
because it wasn't like they were doing anything like super unique or crazy. It was just extremely high execution on green chili, cornbread, and scrambled eggs.
Yeah, totally.
It was just an amazing combination, and it was so good.
It was so good.
Simple yet effective. I need to try this.
Yeah. I got a couple others that I thought were really good. There was
Yeah.
Steak, which I believe is also kind of a national chain, not disparaging it, especially this booth because they were bringing mad energy and they had this like hash brown that was topped with bacon and smoked brisket.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, absolutely. Those guys were awesome, and we actually got their contact. We're gonna go down and we're gonna do a segment with them. So
Dude,
oh,
heck
nice.
yeah.
I'm
Is
gonna
this
reach out to him.
is this steak like STK?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah, yeah, I've seen those.
Yeah, we're gonna hit up the STK guy and go down there. Shout out to him. He had some great stuff there. It was like a hash brown bite with some loaded up material on the top.
It sounds incredible.
It
I'm
was
getting
so good.
hungry. I'm getting every time this show makes me hungry.
I know. Seriously, we're gonna need to stop for lunch after this.
There was also, oh, Ryan's in the waiting room. So I just want to give one more shout out to Shiro, which is an Ethiopian restaurant out on East Colfax. The gals that were there were so just absolutely adorable and cool. And they were doing like these little injera tacos almost with like lentils and what was that? Chickpeas, I think.
Mm,
Fire.
awesome.
Absolutely delicious. All right, we'll bring in Ryan. Here we go. Birdman. Let's
Let's
do it.
bring him in.
We also got to talk about food and wine coming up too. Ladies and gentlemen, 3rd through
Yeah.
the 6th in September, Denver Food and Wine Festival's going down. We'll talk about it a little bit later, but first, we got to welcome the Birdman. Ryan, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing all right, Ryan. How you doing?
Doing great. So, give us a quick introduction. We're kind of mid-show here. About your business. Now, what I loved about, doing the newsletter and the podcast is we just attraction for cool people, which is, we were talking about this is our 100th episode, and it feels like we're a beacon for like cool stuff, and that's what we always want to feature on the show is like different things people can do in Denver with their friends, their family, their partners, and you have a really cool business, so I will let you just kind of take the floor and tell us what you do.
Oh, you got the wrong guy. I'm not cool at all.
Hey,
No, well,
bird
thanks,
watching
Ryan. Yeah,
is
yeah.
really cool.
Happy to be on here. Happy to share a little bit about what I do. Yeah, I help people find their wild, literally, through Birding Man Wildlife Tours. This is my business. I connect people with birds, wildlife, and the natural world in Colorado and beyond. Um, so happy to kind of share kind of what got that started and kind of where I am today with all that.
Please.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So. Um, I moved to Denver in 2018, and I was in academia for a long time, and I was applying to different professorships, and then I picked up a part-time guiding job with Spire Tours in Wheat Ridge. It's a fantastic company that runs day tours up to Rocky Mountain National Park, and I started guiding, and I instantly fell in love with it. The mix of storytelling, hospitality, being outside with people who are eager to connect with nature, that's like I really couldn't think of a better job. So, I realized that guiding was my calling, and that's what eventually led me to start my own company. So, in 2022, I launched Birdie Man Wildlife Tours, and so it's a Colorado-based company. I'm here in Arvada, Colorado, and I really create immersive birding and wildlife experiences both here and abroad. So. I have day tours, multi-day tours through Colorado. I have international tours to Costa Rica and Ecuador. But the goal is really to get people off the beaten path and get people to immerse themselves in nature and connect to nature in new ways. And so what that might look like is, maybe watching a moose feed at a high mountain lake, or spotting a hummingbird at its nest, feeding its babies, or sharing a quiet picnic with a view far away from the noise of the city. So really just kind of getting off the beaten path and steering away from the crowds as much as possible.
So cool. And
Awesome.
so what are your customers like? Is it typically like a group event? Are people coming together for like some kind of bachelor birding party situation?
I've never actually done a bachelor birding party, but a gentleman who works with me also does some freelance part-time guiding, and he's doing his very first bachelorette birding tour. So birding is bird watching, birding. It's getting really big. Post-pandemic, this is just something that a lot of people found themselves doing. Um, and yeah, once people turn 30, the running joke is that you're like, oh, whoa, was that a yellow-rumped warbler? Wow. And it's like, but more and more young people are doing this. I recently had a recently engaged couple in their early 20s that had bought a house, and they were just interested in like taking a walk, and like they were getting into bird watching, and they're like, hey, can we hire you to and take you out in our neighborhood so that we can verify with what we're calling a gray catbird is in fact a gray catbird. So just like people are connecting to nature in their own backyards in new ways, and so that's really exciting. But yeah, I would say the lion's share of my clients are probably like early to mid 50s. um, and definitely, probably either about to retire or retiring. But the idea is to get more people, get a more representative demographic of everybody who's out there, right?
Yeah, there's a couple of things I really like about this. One, you're speaking my language. As I'm getting a little bit older, I start thinking about getting like extra pair of binoculars. You know what I mean? Get a little
Yeah.
extra sunscreen. Um, and I assume that you're probably getting people that are pretty experienced, and so now they're looking for like an expert to really help point out different things or go to different take a more of a educational bend to what they've already been doing.
Yeah,
And
Ryan, it really kind of runs the gamut. I'll get beginner bird watchers. I'll get
yeah,
folks um, who are in their later years that are looking for more accessible tours with who have limited mobility. And so sometimes we'll go up and we'll set up chairs along quiet county roads and just let the wildlife come to us. And it's amazing what ends up showing up. But then you also do get more focused birders who are looking for specialty trips. For example, people that will contact me who are in hopes of finding the elusive white-tailed ptarmigan, which is my favorite Colorado bird. Often a bird that is very difficult to find, very very camouflaged, and it turns bright white in the winter, so it blends in with the snow. But it's like a magical bird to find. So we go out in the summer, we go in the winter to find this bird. Things like rosy finches or mountain owls, secretive mountain owls that will roost in aspen cavities. It does take a lot of scouting and planning, but I love to use my background in ecology to help people increase their chances of seeing those rare species.
yeah.
Nice.
I also think it really encourages something alternatively in Colorado, which is just to say that people come here to get after it. So like you go to any trail and there's some guy checking his pulse. He's got like the heart rate monitor. They have 10 grand in mountain bikes on the back. And all that stuff is great, but like my best times in the woods is more of a wandering and a meandering,
Yeah.
as opposed to like, man, we got 4 hours to get up the trail, come back down, get to the car, blah, blah, blah. Like that kind of like sportsman energy, or I should say sports energy. It's not very sportsman, but like what this is great because it takes the pace back. Like you said, like you don't necessarily have to be an Ironman athlete to get out there and do it. And it gives you just a different subtle appreciation. I mean, I know I would love that because I could probably identify like the big birds of prey, but like a lot of the other small or the wetland birds, like I have a lot to learn there.
Yeah, what it's really about. I mean, bird watching people always ask me like, "Oh, how much of a bird nerd are you? Are you always thinking about birds? Is birds everything to you?" And it's really not. I mean, obviously I'm developing an expertise in bird watching, but I think bird watching is really a tool to just get a little bit slower, like slow
Yeah.
yourself down and pay attention to some of the smaller things. It's like when like some people hated this, but in high school biology class, when I got to look through a microscope and see everything that was swimming underneath it, it was like, wow, this is a whole new world, right? That has
Hmm.
opened up in front of me. And so bird watching is a lot like that. It's not just about the birds, but you get that pair of binoculars, you look through the spotting scope, you slow down, and everything, you start to see everything. It just kind of comes out of the woodwork, right? So we want to get you off the beaten path. We want to slow you down a little bit. And Colorado has these incredible natural places, but the Front Range, we all know it can get super crowded, especially on the weekend. It's getting crowded now. And
Yeah.
it's easy to feel like you're just one more person in a long line of hikers. But I think so many people are after what you just said, that meandering vibe, like not necessarily trying to get to the summit, just trying to figure out, like, see what's really out there. And these quiet, immersive experiences in nature where you can actually hear the wind in the trees and the call of the birds is really what we're trying to provide.
Hmm. Super cool.
Amazing. It reminds me of like the first time I ever heard that you talking about the call of the birds, the sandhill cranes. I was
Oh
hunting in
yeah,
high school, so it's like mid-October, and a whole would be a flock of cranes.
sure. Yeah.
We're flying over, but we were kind of cloud cast. It was like overcast, so I couldn't see them. I thought I was being stalked by demons or something. I mean, you get like 100 of these cranes, and they have this like kind of like purring, cackling sound. And
Yeah.
I was freaking out. I remember we came all the way back. I'm telling my buddy, I'm like, dude, I heard something. He's like, it's coyotes. I'm like, it was in the sky. It was in the sky. And I was trying to describe it. I forgot who I was talking to. It might have been my dad or my uncle, but I was like this, and he's like, dude, those are sandhill cranes. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, yeah, that's really special. The trumpeting of the sandhills. That is that's magical to hear that during migration. And I think it's one of those things that has become a lot more accessible now too, because a lot of people are out there with the Merlin app. I don't know if you know what that is, Ryan, but it's Cornell Lab of Ornithology's primary app. They also have eBird, which which are both really great apps that people can use. And the kind of the trademark of Merlin now is this ability to identify birds by their song. It's like the Shazam for a bird
Hmm.
song, right? So you can
Cool.
record the birds in the field. So if you're out there and you hear
Cool.
this trumpeting, you could just record it, and it would pop up Sandhill Crane. So I mean, just to know, oh wow, there's a flock of sandhill cranes above me. That's really something special. And so I think this technology has gotten people to a new place, and a place that really piques their interest for doing more and more of this bird watching.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know that this is going to be a massive hit for kids too.
Yes.
There's probably parents out there that burn their kids out like I did. Like, hey, kids, let's go for a hike. They're like, what's that? I'm like, don't worry about it. It's gonna be awesome. You take them on the you take them on the trail for 4 hours, and now they hate hiking forever. So when my kids were little, I had to come up with all this different stuff, and they're like, what are we doing? I'm like, we're foraging. And they're like,
Yeah.
what's that? This seems like it's hiking. No, no, we hate hiking. We're foraging now.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I could have used this, been like, we're bird watching. They're like, this is suspiciously a lot like hiking, but it's different. Um,
Yeah, with kids, I found bird watching is challenging. It really is, but obviously kids that they have new eyes, they have curiosity, they have the things that so many of us are losing as we're sitting behind our desks, staring at our computers. But at the same time, they're very easily distracted, and their patience isn't nearly what it might need to be to actually see a bird well. So,
Hmm.
so I've found that working with kids, it's all about having multiple things lined up for them, like scavenger hunts. That's a really great thing to do with kids. Um,
Nice.
Actually, the National Park Service does that. They have their junior rangers headquarters up at Rocky Mountain National Park, and so they bring the kids in there and they give them like this little notebook, and it's a scavenger hunt. Essentially, it's like, can you find a Steller's Jay? Um, can can you find a boreal toad? That'd be a little bit hard to find, but can you find a western garter snake? Can you find a glacial valley, right? And so they have the kids set out to do this kind of scavenger hunt, and that makes it fun. But in addition to that, I usually try to include some nature journaling, some drawing,
Nice.
and maybe some fun active games that they can play. I recently did I just did like a 2 hour bird watching session with a cultural. It's an Asian American cultural center. It's called CASIN. It's down in Aurora, and they had some grant money, some funding for nature activities with their kids at this kids camp. And so we did a morning of bird watching, and it was like ages 6 through 12. So you can imagine that
Wow.
that was a handful, but having a variety of activities to offer them was certainly helpful. Yeah.
Amazing. Now, Ryan, you were talking about perhaps doing a giveaway for one of these what would you call it? Experience, birding experience. Are you still game for that?
Absolutely. Let's do that.
Okay.
Yeah, I would love to.
Cool.
Nice.
Here's how we kind of do giveaways is what we'll do is we'll do it on Instagram and TikTok where they have to follow your page, they have to tag a friend, and then they qualify for Tom's random spinning wheel where we pick the winner.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, so they'll have
So
to follow both accounts. They'll follow your birding account. They'll follow us, and they'll just have to comment whether you want to do the giveaway for like a solo person or a group of people. I guess we could determine that, but I think the best thing that we could do here is kind of maybe Ryan, if you want to just do a quick intro to yourself and the package that you're thinking about running a giveaway for, and we'll chop that up and make it a great giveaway video for the
Yeah,
people.
sure. So, as I've mentioned earlier, this is just about getting people out into nature, but I typically do my tours out of a Jeep Wrangler, out of a Jeep Rubicon, and so that's like 1 to 4 people. So I'd be open to providing a tour, a full day tour in a Jeep Rubicon, up to 4 people, keeping in mind that, 4 full-size adults, that might be a little snug. So,
Hmm.
whatever that could be, if it's three or if it's four, maybe 2 kids and two adults, that type of thing could work too.
Sweet.
So yeah, I would run the tour up to Rocky Mountain National Park, and usually on that tour, I'll stop in a variety of habitats on the way up to the park so we can get kind of some exposure to the Great Plains, to the foothills of the Rockies, and then up in the montane ecosystems and alpine ecosystems of Rocky Mountain National Park. And we usually pick up a wide variety of different birds, different wildlife, mammals and sometimes snakes and amphibians as well. So uh, it's always a great time, and I like to kind of remind people that this isn't just about this isn't a tour that I'm just going to tell you like, oh yeah, this is a Western garter snake or this is a Steller's jay. It's really this is about stories. It's about learning about the behavior. It's learning about the ecology, how everything kind of comes together, connects on the landscape. And so really trying to provide some context and providing some memorable moments in nature where you really feel immersed and connected in a new way.
amazing.
That
That's
is
an
awesome.
incredibly generous offer, Ryan. Thank you for doing that. We'll promote the heck out of it on multiple
Awesome.
posts. We'll see if we can get a lot of interest garnered and just send a ton of traffic your way. It's really, really cool.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
Yeah,
thanks for
Awesome,
doing
man.
that.
let's
Um,
run it
That's
for
my,
a
that's
few
my pleasure.
weeks. We'll run it for a couple
yeah,
weeks too, and we'll
yeah.
make sure that we get some good exposure on that. That would be so
So
awesome.
you want to announce the giveaway 2 weeks from today?
Announce the giveaway. Yeah, so we'll work with Ryan. We'll to get if there's any like photos or video maybe that you have from these tours. We'll make a really cool social post around it, and we'll promote it out through our newsletter, through all our channels, and we'll make sure that it's a solid turnout. So that sounds
Nice. Thanks,
super
Tom.
cool.
Yeah, appreciate that.
That's
Yeah, of course.
gobirdingman.com.
That's
Now,
right.
I want to ask your opinion on a sometimes maligned bird in Denver. How do you feel about the Canadian goose?
Oh, I mean, I have no ill will towards the what's actually called the Canada goose, not to be on my high horse about that. It's I kind of when people say Canadian goose, who cares? Whatever. Canadian, Canada, we know
I
what you're
can
talking
tell it
about.
bothers you. Okay, Canada goose.
Canada Goose, yeah, Canada Goose. And I had an ecology teacher one time that told me that it was named after like John Canada or something, but I actually haven't been able to find verification of that ever. So I don't know if that's the truth either. But yeah, I absolutely adore Canada geese. I think that they can get a little bit nasty. They flock by the thousands. So and And when you're walking around in City Park, you got to watch where you're going. So that's sort of the grim side of the Canada Goose. But I always think about how they made me feel waking up on a cold autumn morning. I grew up in Connecticut, and I would hear the flocks of migrating Canada geese just flying over the house, and just
Yeah.
these very wild creatures doing their thing, waking me up in the morning, and that is bliss, like hearing nature around me in the morning. And so I have a very soft spot in my heart for Canada geese, even when they hiss at me if I get too close to their goslings.
Kind of respect it though, you know. I feel the same way. And I lived over by Sloan's Lake for like,
Oh,
I don't
nice.
know, 10 years. And, in the fall, they start like pushing into the neighborhoods and they'll walk around. But as a result, too, is they'd come flying in like, they're kind of like the fighter pilots of the bird world, the way they're in like the V formation and they would come in on the street and just like all pull up and land at the same time.
Yeah.
It was stunning.
It is stunning. Yeah. Yeah, it never gets old to watch. I think they do what they do with such perfection in a way. They've sort of honed their craft over millennia, and you got to respect it. And obviously, like I said, there are things that aren't so great about them. Having them in the masses in these places where we live, but we always have to take a step back and remember that we're in their place too. This isn't just our home. It's for everybody. Yeah.
Appreciate that. Ryan, this has been awesome. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Again, it's gobirdingman.com where you can learn more about the tours. There's Birds of Prey tour, a Bighorns and Birds tour, Rocky Mountain Jeep tour. There's something for everybody. And I just really appreciate you coming on here and telling us about it.
Yeah. Thanks so much for
Yeah.
having me, Ryan. I appreciate the time.
You
No
bet. Take
problem.
care, man.
All right. You too, guys. Take
See ya.
care.
Take care.
Cool. That guy was awesome.
Yeah, really cool. I mean, if you look over on his website, and again, that's gobirdingman.com, you can go to the nature and wildlife tours. He's got half-day tours, full-day tours, and even multi-day tours that are going to be, 6 to 10 day expeditions into all different habitats around, Colorado, and even I think he's got some larger tours as well, international tours, Costa Rica, Ecuador, the Galapagos Islands. I mean, this guy's he knows what he's doing.
It's amazing. 111 reviews, 5-star reviews. Unbelievable. So cool to talk to him.
Yeah, very cool. It looks like there's kind of different tours for all skill levels too. Like there's more advanced, very beginner entry level. So he's got the whole kind of wheelhouse of um, experience levels.
Unbelievable. So cool. I feel like I would drive him crazy. Be like, oh my God, I think it's a bald eagle. And he'd be like, dude, that's a pigeon, man. What are you talking about? Be like, where's my glasses? My bad.
Yeah.
I swear, but I will never say Canadian geese again. Uh, I like the correction.
Yeah, and you know what? It's funny that he said you got to watch out in City Park because I have a video that I think we might need to share. But Taylor and I had a picnic at City Park, and the Canadian geese were harassing us for our snacks.
Mm,
Yeah.
that's an issue.
Yeah, they come up and they're not afraid, and all they want is bread and whatever other snacks you got.
Yeah, those are urban geese though. Those are Denver geese. They're no longer from John Canada. They're from John Denver.
Really, I think it looked like a Canadian goose. I mean,
I'm sure it was. I'm sure it was.
let me
But
see.
I think the wild ones have a little bit more. I mean, I guess they're still wild in the city, right? But I think they've learned at City Park that if they're aggressive, sometimes we'll like drop Cheetos and stuff, and
Mm,
so they can get after it.
yeah, you'd always have to watch out in New Jersey if you were walking down the street or something, and they had some babies with them. They'd be very aggressive.
Mm.
All right, I have a big event that I want to promote. I think we're going to do a joint promotion for this new event. It's new for us to promote, and it's coming up next week. This is Denver Food and Wine Festival, and this is probably a jewel in the crown of Denver festivals. An absolutely amazing 3-day food and wine festival. It starts the 3rd, runs through the 6th, with the big event being the grand tasting on the 6th. Now, I'm going to pull up a little bit of information, but learning a little bit about this is incredible. So, 50 top local restaurants and hundreds of sips of Southern Glazer's wines and spirits portfolio. And kind of learning a little bit from Tom this weekend, this is like a major industry event where people are starting, sommeliers from all over the region are coming to like find new wines for their restaurants, find new exciting new pairings, and this is open and they have a few spots left. So there are general admission tickets, I believe, for are about $200, something like that. Let me go over to the ticketing page so we can be sure. They've got a couple left. Now, I'm trying to see here because there's multiple events.
Yeah, it's multi-day. So um, the 3rd through, sorry, September 3rd through 6th, we have events. Um, the Wine Glass Seminar is starting on the 3rd. Then you have Thursday, Shake and Break Showdown. Friday, Dine Out Auction events. Saturday, September 6th, the Grand Tasting, VIP and first taste entry at noon, GA entry at 1 p.m. So yeah, there's some different kind of tiers of tickets and different events that you can participate in.
Yeah, it looks like the Riddell Wine Seminar is $178, but I believe the gift value of going there is like $200. So that's like a no-brainer.
Hmm.
The Shake and Break Showdown sounds really cool because it's a mix of wine and food trucks, and I think there's cocktails there. So this is a little bit more, probably a little bit more Denver-ish, whereas you have the grand tasting, which is going to be like a pretty sophisticated event. So I want to give a shout out to Denise for reaching out to us. I think we're going to probably interview her later in the week and then perhaps do another promo giveaway online. We got to iron out the details, but that should be coming. So I suppose for podcast listeners, what we need you to do is follow our TikTok and Instagram, because we got a couple of big giveaways coming up.
Mm-hmm.
Especially the birding tours. That's an incredible offer. Could you imagine a free giveaway for 4 people in your Jeep? You drive up to Estes Park and go look at birds and nature. It's amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a big one to watch. That's gonna be cool.
Yeah.
absolutely. And these, keep in mind these food and wine festival tickets. There's a bunch available. You should probably, if you want to secure your slot in that, you might want to grab a ticket before next week. It just seems like these events might be getting sold out. So if you're looking forward to that, we're probably going to have something to give away after we do that interview next week. But just if you want to lock yourself in, make sure you get that taken care of sooner rather than later. We know that these festivals are super popular.
Okay, I just got an email from Denise. Shout to Denise. The 10% off all tickets except the Rydell Wine Seminar. So that's every single thing else, 10% off with the promo code REALGOOD10. So you're listening to the podcast. We'll also
Nice.
put that in the newsletter. You can get a 10% off disco, and we will see what else we can do for you. It looks like she's also uh, confirming for Friday at 2 p.m. So we'll probably run her solo episode on Monday, just probably a 15-minute check-in to build anticipation and energy for the Denver Food and Wine Festival, September 3rd through 6th.
She must be on the
Awesome.
live stream. She knew.
I told her, I emailed her, I was like, hey, we're recording at 4, so like, give me the promo code.
Yeah.
So shout to Denise. Thanks so much for making that happen. It's gonna be really fun to check out this great event.
And that's all events except the Riedel Wine Seminar, correct?
That's correct. It's for all of them. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Sweet.
Amazing. Thanks, guys. Happy 100th episode.
Happy
Yeah.
100. That sounds amazing. I can't believe we've made it through that many episodes.
We'll celebrate our next milestone at 1,000.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
No more judging the podcast till the 1,000th episode. I like that. We put
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
Yeah.
10 years from
10
now.
years.
away. Cool. All right, guys. Thanks so much.
All right.
See ya.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.